Here we are, it's a Thursday, regular crowd shuffles in. We're talking some baseball and football, and I'll do it all with a grin. I don't know. What the hell am I doing this morning? Lot to get to. It's a Thursday, September the 15th edition of The Bullpen with Adam the Bull. Lots of talk about the Guardians, who won again yesterday afternoon and have a big game this afternoon against the White Sox, the start of a huge 9-game homestand / road trip. But I'll explain more coming up in a minute. We'll look more ahead to the Browns and the Jets this weekend. And, of course, Thursday night football tonight. Are you ready? Who the hell's not ready for football? For crying out loud, it's another great game on Thursday Night Football. The Chargers and Chiefs on Prime Video. 54-point over-under. We'll get to all of that coming up. It's The Bullpen with Adam the Bull.
Podcast is not for the faint of heart.
And I do think it's time for the Browns to move on.
It's not for those who ride the fence.
He's proven nothing.
But if you're looking for someone who tells it like it is about Cleveland sports,
everybody does fandom their way.
You've come to the right place.
I don't think he's any good.
It's time for the Bullpen with Adam the Bull.
You're damn right it's time for the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. Here we go, baby. The baseball season is coming down the stretch. Most importantly, for my fantasy baseball team that's battling for third place money. But secondly, the Cleveland Guardians, who won again yesterday. They're sixth in a row. They've won 8 of 9. A great win, and once again, some pretty good starting pitching. Cal Quantrill, not his best game of the year, but certainly solid enough. The bats come back late. Jose Ramirez hits a game-winning, not a walk-off, but a game-winning 2-run home run, and they get some rest for Emmanuel Clase. Today, we're going to need a break for James Karinchak, who's pitched a lot as well, and he gets the save yesterday. And the Guardians are a season-high 11 games over 500, 76 and 65, with a season-high matching 4-game lead over the Chicago White Sox, who lost yesterday, and a 5-game lead over the Minnesota Twins, who did win yesterday. What does it all mean? Well, it means that with 21 games to go in the season, the Guardians are in a great position to make the playoffs. ESPN and their standings, they give you their computer simulations percentage chance of making the playoffs. They have the Guardians with just under an 82% chance to make the playoffs. I'm sure that's pretty much all the division. The wild card is unlikely. Let's see. I can't remember. I haven't really been looking at the wild card standings in terms of the Guardians because I just keep thinking about the division. Yeah, the Guardians would be behind the Rays for the last wild card spot. The Rays are 79 and 63. The Guardians, wild card's not impossible, but the problem is if the Guardians played poor enough to blow the division, they probably would play poor enough to not win the wild card. So let's not even think about the wild card. I don't even care about the wild card because the Cleveland Guardians need to take care of business with 9 games over the next 8 days against division rivals Chicago and Minnesota. They play the White Sox at home today, then a 5-game, 4-day series with the Twins at Progressive Field, and then they go to Chicago for a 3-game series with the White Sox. There will be no days off. Again, a doubleheader Saturday. So 9 games in 8 days that will probably determine this season. The Guardians will have 12 games remaining after that, 3 in Texas on the road, and then they come home for the final 9 games of the year, 3 with Tampa Bay, 6 with Kansas City. Somebody reminded me yesterday that the reason they have this odd schedule at the end of the year where they're playing 6 straight at home against Kansas City is because, it's been so long, it was such a big deal at the beginning of the year, but I really forgot about it. You may remember, or you may have forgotten, like I did temporarily, that the season got delayed a week because of the lockout. And because of that, they moved, what they did with the 2 series that were supposed to start the year is they put one of them at the back end of the season. And that's what happened. So the Royals had a series in Cleveland that was supposed to be in the first week of the season. It got put to the end of the year, and because the Royals were already coming to Cleveland at the end of the year, they just made it a 6-game series. Obviously, with the Royals being a horrendous team, 29 games under 500, that is a huge edge. So heading into those last 6 games, the Guardians are in great shape. Even those last 12 games, I know the 3 against Texas, not as bad as Kansas City, but still not good. Those are on the road. And the Guardians haven't, been, I was going to say they haven't been quite as good on the road, which is true, but not by much. I mean, they're 5 games over on the road and 6 games over at home. They've really played, I think they got the most. No, the Astros have the most. The Astros have 46 road wins. The Mariners have 41, and then the Guardians and Blue Jays have 40 each. So they've been one of the best road teams in the American League. And the good news is, again, they only have 6 road games left. The 3 with the White Sox and then the 3 with Texas. So that's it. So in the final, final 21 games, they will play 15 at home. These are all big advantages for the Guardians. Now, it's not over because the Twins and the White Sox have the ability to play the Guardians, and if either of those teams dominates the Guardians in their head-to-head matchup, well, it changes all this. And the Twins still have, in addition to the series with the Guardians, they still got a game with the Royals tonight, and they've beaten the Royals 2 in a row. After they play their 5-game series with the Royals, with the Guardians, they go back and play Kansas City again. Then they got the Angels after that. We saw how bad they are. And then they still have a 3-game series with the Tigers. So they have a lot of easy games there. However, the final week of the season, the White Sox and Twins play each other 6 out of their final 9 games. So while the Guardians in their final 9 games play Tampa Bay, a tough series, but then 6 with Kansas City, the White Sox and the White Sox and Twins will play each other 6 times in the final 9 games. So again, at this point, I feel great about the Guardians' chances of winning their division. The Guardians are really going to have to completely fall apart not to win their division. I think that's unlikely with Francona. We know they've been an up-and-down team all year. They just got out of a cold streak where they couldn't hit. Now they've gotten in a hot streak here again. Is there a chance they go cold again? Sure. That's what they've been doing all year. But they don't have – I mean, let's see. If they play 500 – let's say they play a game over 500 the rest of the year in the final 21. All right, just go 11-10. That would give them 87 wins. Are the White Sox getting to 87 wins? Well, let's take a look at it. The White Sox, to get to 87 wins – they've played more games than the Guardians, and that's the thing. I said that the Guardians lead the White Sox by 4 and the Twins by 5, but in the loss column, they're actually 5 up on both because the White Sox have played 2 more games. The White Sox only have 19 games left, so for the White Sox to get to 87 wins, they'd have to go 14-5. And listen, they're playing much better overall the last 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks. They've played much better baseball. But I don't think they've been consistent enough that they would go 14-5. So the bottom line is when the Guardians play these 9 games here coming up against the Twins and the White Sox, they don't have to, like, the Twins and the White Sox have to be perfect. The Twins got to win at least 4 out of 5 against the Guardians, maybe all 5. The White Sox got to win at worst 3 out of 4, maybe all 4. The Guardians, I'd love the Guardians to win 6 of the 9 against the Twins and White Sox, or 7 or 8 or 9, sure. But even if the Guardians go 5-4, let's say they win 3 out of 5 against let's say they only win 2 out of 5 against the Twins and split the 4 with the White Sox, they'd still be in great shape. Now, again, I don't want that to happen, and I don't think it's going to happen because I think they're going to take care of business. However, if it does, they'd still be in fairly good shape because let's say they go 2-2 against the White Sox. Okay, the White Sox don't gain any ground. They go 2-3 against the Twins. The Twins only gain 1 game. Well, those teams are 5 games back, essentially. So no, even if they play even against them, that's a huge advantage. We're running out of days on the calendar. And again, it would have to be a massive collapse by the Guardians not to win the division. They've got a shot to win 90 games, and who could have possibly seen that coming? I remember the week before we started the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. For those of you who listen to my podcast, watch the podcast, I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, also watch the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. If you're not, what are you doing? How are you not watching the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show? Streaming live weekdays 11 to 1 on YouTube. You got to subscribe. You got to hit the bell so you get alerts for not only that, but for the podcast. However, we started the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on May 9th of this year. The week before that, the first week of May, we were in studio, and we were doing some practice runs of the show. And one of the questions that our boy Mikey McNuggets asked us in that week leading up to the start of the show was, Do you think the Guardians will be in contention at the start of September? And everybody said no except for me. I said yes. However, I didn't think they'd be this good. I'm not going to be a phony. Did I think they'd be in contention? Yeah, but I thought they'd be on the fringe of contention in probably third place. I did not expect them to be this good. Nobody could have expected them to be this good. I think if you talk to the front office and they were being honest, they didn't think they'd be this good. Not yet. Everybody thought they were a year away. I thought by next year they'd start turning the corner. I thought they'd be I thought with Francona and just the culture here that they had a chance to hang in there at the start of September and they'd fall out of it in September. The opposite has happened. They're starting to pull away. Hopefully that will continue. The culture on this team is great. The leadership is great. Management is great. Ownership doesn't spend enough money. We could talk about that all day long. That's for the offseason. The front office is great. The manager is great. The attitude, the culture, leadership. Shane Bieber leading the pitchers. Jose Ramirez not leading the hitters, but leading the whole team. He is a great leader. One of the reasons the Guardians are always in the mix is because they have a great leader. Jose Ramirez not only is a vocal leader, he doesn't talk to the media a lot, obviously, not because he's a bad guy or anything, just because, he probably speaks better English than he wants to share, but it's a second language. I get it. He doesn't talk a ton. That's fine. I got no beef with that whatsoever. However, within that clubhouse, within that team, he talks a lot. And he leads with talking, but most importantly, he leads by example. When your best player not only takes significantly less money than he could have made in the open market to stay, that sends a message. When your best player busts his ass every single day, wants to play every day, not looking for a day off, when he hustles all the time, when he's a smart base runner, does everything well. There's no part of Jose Ramirez's game that is not exceptional. He is a beautiful baseball player. Obviously, he's not going to win an MVP, and I was fighting with people on Twitter about Ohtani and Mike Trout, and Aaron Judge. And obviously, Jose does not belong in the conversation with those two guys this season. However, it doesn't take away from the fact that, as I said earlier this season, and I've been banging the table for a while. Now, to be fair, years ago, I thought Lindor was going to be the better player. I was wrong about that. Lindor, very good player. No reason to diminish him. Still having a really good season for the Mets. But he is not Jose Ramirez. Not really that close at this point in their careers. Jose Ramirez is clearly one of the 10 best players in baseball. I don't think there's any doubt about it. This guy still doesn't. I think baseball people know. We say he doesn't get enough credit. I say that. The general public. People that really know baseball, whether it's people in the game, media members that know the sport well, even fans across the country that are diehard, knowledgeable baseball fans, they know Jose Ramirez. The casual fan in other markets has no clue how good this guy is. He doesn't look like a great baseball player. He's short. He looks a little chubby. I don't say that to shame him in any way because I think body shaming is stupid. I do it to myself. I don't really like to do it. I used to do it to other people too, and I will never do that again. But I don't say that. But he just looks, but he just looks a little like a little chubby. And he's short, and yet this guy does everything right. And what an example he is for this young baseball team that learns from his lead and just plays magnificent baseball. They hustle. They're great on the bases. We're all going to make errors, right? And I could live with a physical error. What you don't want to have is the mental errors, and this team, for the most part, does not do that. So they're a pleasure to watch. And if you're not aboard the Guardians bandwagon at this point, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Because this team is a ton of fun to watch. They never give up. They're always fighting back. They're never out of a game. Are they a great baseball team? No, they're not a great baseball team. But they're an overachieving, good, scrappy bunch that, it'll be a challenge for them to win when and if they get to the playoffs. I admit. Against some of these tougher teams, they have struggled. They've struggled against the Mariners, the Yankees, the Astros. I get it. I'm not saying they're making a huge run in the playoffs. I don't know what's going to happen. They could lose in the first round. They could lose every playoff game. It's been a while since the Guardians have won a playoff game. I get it. But let's not go into it with such a negative attitude. This has been a franchise that has continued to be successful, even with the things that frustrate us, like a low payroll and stars leaving town. I get it. I'm mad about it too. I understand, but I haven't been rooting for this team my whole life. You have, and I understand why you're ticked. I'm ticked too, and I've only lived it for 12 years. So I get it. But now is not the time for that anger and frustration. Save that for when the season's over, and then we'll all go at it again. But for now, this team deserves your recognition and your enthusiasm. And listen, I'm not going to tell anybody to spend money. We talk about attendance sometimes. Sure, their attendance is disappointing. Sure, there's a lot of factors into it. I think one of the biggest factors that goes understated is the fact that we're just a much smaller market in terms of amount of people that can go to games with disposable income. I get it. I'm not going to sit here on my perch and tell you, because I could go to games for free. Okay. And so for me to say, oh, these fans don't go to games, listen, everybody's got their reason. But you can watch from home. You can listen on the radio. You can even follow it on the MLB.com or ESPN.com or whatever the hell app you want to use. But this team deserves for you to pay attention to them, if nothing else. Again, I don't think that's asking too much. This is one of your 3 professional teams. They've consistently been good. They've consistently been in the mix. And if you're going into it today for a team that really has no business being in first place, or at least going into the season had no business being in first place, that's 11 games over 500, that plays hard every day, that scraps and claws and fights and never quits, even with their flaws at the bottom of the lineup, the bottom of the rotation, even with those flaws, this team plays so hard and so well. They deserve your respect and recognition. And I don't want to hear this, oh, yeah, look, call me in the play. Well, okay. And I'm sure what's going to happen is if they lose in the playoffs, oh, bull, you said I got to pay attention. Okay, at least they give you a chance every year. Can't say the same thing about every team. This team is consistently giving you a chance. Leave the frustrations, the negatives for the offseason. Right now, this team deserves your respect and attention. I don't think there's any doubt about it. In yesterday's game, mentioned it, Quantrill gave up a bunch of hits, gave up some runs, didn't walk anybody, but, I didn't think he had his best. And yet, he found a way and overall pitched a good game, 7 innings, 3 earned runs. Scattered the 8 hits enough, and then the bullpen comes in, and, that's it. Job done. No walks for the Guardians the whole game. In fact, there was no walks in the game, period. That is so bizarre. I didn't realize the Guardians hadn't walked either. I don't know why I didn't remember that. But neither team walked, and it was a good pitching matchup. I thought Pablo Sandoval pitched well for the Angels. And they got to Ryan Tepera for the Ramirez homer, and listen, the guy's just it's a clutch hit, big time. And I thought Freeman did a good job getting the RBI that tied up the game. That was a big hit. And guys continue to do their thing. Oscar Gonzalez, man, this kid is really solidifying himself. He hit a home run in the game. Continue to love what he's doing. Jimenez hopefully coming out of a slump. I still hate that he's batting so low in the lineup, but he had 3 hits yesterday. So it was a great game, and now, again, it starts what I began this conversation with, 9 games, 8 days, here we go. Now, interesting that the Guardians had originally Tristan McKenzie lined up to pitch this game, and they decided to move him back against the Twins, which is interesting because right now the White Sox are ahead. I guess, this tied in the loss column. But the Guardians are calling up the kid Hunter Gaddis to pitch in this game. You may remember he made his major league debut, about 5-6 weeks ago. It did not go well. And this one's a bit of a head scratcher. Hopefully he'll pitch better. But with the bullpen needing some rest, I think I would have stuck with McKenzie. But you know what? I'll give Francona the benefit of the doubt on this. McKenzie and Bieber will pitch the first 2 games of the Minnesota series. McKenzie will pitch tomorrow night, and then Bieber's supposed to go in the first game of the doubleheader Saturday. I don't know who's going to pitch the second game for the Guardians yet. They haven't announced that. So we'll see. And Quantrill's also supposed to pitch in that series. McKenzie and Bieber will pitch, or at least at this point, are scheduled to start against the White Sox in Chicago. So, anyway, we'll see. So, hopefully, the kid can give him some innings today and keep him in the game. They're facing Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn, who has been great the last few years, but he has struggled this season. He's probably been the White Sox worst starting pitcher. So if he's a good pitcher, and they got a good rotation. I don't want to say he's going to be easy, and he's pitched a lot better lately. His struggles were mostly early in the season, so this will be a tough game. His last few outings, in fact, he hasn't given up more than one run in last 5 starts. 31 innings and 3 earned runs. All three earned runs, solo homers. Interesting. So he's pitched much better. Really going back for about a month, he's pitched well. And he pitched against the Guardians about a month ago. Didn't get through 6, but only gave up 1 run in that game. So this will be a challenge, and the White Sox have the edge in the pitching matchup today. No doubt about it. All right, it's a lot of Guardians talk. Hope you enjoyed that. I got to take a break. Before I do, I want to talk to you about Sleeper. Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform today with the NFL season kicking off. Sleeper is climbing the charts with over 4 million plus users. In addition, they launched 22 new features, including over-unders integrated into fantasy, the first sports contest game built into the fantasy experience. Not only can you enter a contest via over-under itself, but you can also do so through your fantasy team's matchup screen, Fantasy League's matchup screen. It's super simple. First, in any sport, choose 2 or more players that you like and pick the over-under. For example, rushing yards in football, number of points in basketball. Then choose the amount of money you want to enter into the contest. If you pick correctly, you can win anywhere from 2 to 20 times the money you put in. That's a pretty great deal. The main reason I'm excited about the over-under on Sleeper is that it's the only app where I can join my friends in a contest and play together for a lot of trash talking. Obviously, that's what you do. So stop what you're doing right now. Download Sleeper and play their over-under game. Have fun with your friends and make some cash. On your mobile phone, join our listener group on Sleeper at sleeper.com/lockedonbets or sleeper.com/lockedontoday, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. Again, go to sleeper.com/lockedonbets or sleeper.com/lockedontoday, and you'll get $100 up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Okay. So, talked a lot about the Browns and the Jets yesterday. When I did the podcast yesterday, the Browns were a 6-point favorite yesterday morning. That line has moved. The Browns are now a 6.5-point favorite. So if you're into that type of thing, I think now is the time. You don't want to see that go to 7 because it takes a lot for the line to go to 7. Obviously, a decent amount of games decided by 7 points, and you don't want to see because if anything, I would think the Browns would continue to build as the favorite. Again, official picks coming tomorrow, but I am leaning. Obviously, I think the Browns are going to win. Well, it's not obvious. It is the NFL. Are the Browns? Let's see. The Browns are the 4th, 5th. Wow, it's a lot of big favorites. 6. Browns are the 8th biggest favorite this week at 6.5 points. You got. Was there somebody? There's 3 teams favored by 10. Oh, the Rams are a 10.5-point favorite at home against the Falcons. The Broncos are a 10-point favorite at home against the Texans. And the Packers are a 10-point favorite at home against the Bears. So 3 double-digit point spreads. Niners favored by 8.5 at home against the Seahawks. Bengals, who lost and played a sloppy game, although they should have won. They really blew it at the end, are a 7-point favorite at Dallas. Obviously, the Cowboys a mess with Dak Prescott not playing. And I think those are the lines that are bigger than the Browns. So I think the Browns at home, again, I'm leaning that way. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Most games in the NFL are close. There's not a lot of blowouts. 6.5 is a lot of points in the NFL. This is not college. And especially when you don't have a very good quarterback. And the reality is the Browns do not. They are very good in most other places. We saw them dominate in the run game, and for the most part, except for some breakdowns late, dominate defensively. That's what they need to do to win. It will be tougher when you play better competition to win just that way. But when you're playing the Jets and the Falcons and the Panthers, you can win that way, and they should. I do think I am leaning towards a Browns cover in this one. I think the game plan's got to be very much what it was last week. I think the Jets probably have even a worse offensive line than Carolina. And they have a worse quarterback because Joe Flacco is, as much as I, bust Baker's, Joe Flacco is certainly a lot worse than Baker. The Jets' skill positions versus the Panthers, I mentioned this briefly yesterday. It's different. The Panthers have more frontline talent. The Jets have better depth of skill positions. But I don't think there's any one-on-one. Like last week, you're worried. Some people worried about DJ Moore. I wasn't. He didn't have a big game. You're certainly worried about Christian McCaffrey. He didn't have a huge game, but that was something you were concerned about going in. I don't think there's any individual skill position players on the Jets right now that you're overly worried about. Most of their key guys are young players, but they're high draft picks. Corey Davis is the one veteran who was another high draft pick by the Titans. This is his second year on the Jets. He had a good game last week. And they got some veterans at tight end. But the rest of their receivers are all very young, including Garrett Wilson, of course. Their running backs are a rookie in Breece Hall and a second-year guy in Michael Carter. Both, talented players. They got a lot of talent. But at this point, no frontline talent. I think this is a big advantage for the Browns. The place is going to be rocking. Brownie the Elf is going to be rocking. I think it's going to be electric at that stadium on Sunday, and I'd be very surprised if the Jets win. I don't think it's crazy to think they could cover. But in the end, if I have to pick it, and I will tomorrow, I am leaning towards the Browns to cover a 7 to 10 point victory somewhere in that neck of the woods. So we'll see. All right, I'm going to take one final break and got some thoughts on Donovan Mitchell and his comments yesterday. You know what? Real quick before that, let me give you my Thursday Night Football pick because I do want to talk about Donovan Mitchell. Love this game tonight, 8:15, Prime Video exclusively. Remember that. It's on Prime Video exclusively. Chargers and Chiefs should be great. Both teams had a huge offensive day to start the season. I would expect this to be one of those fun slugfest games where we see a ton of points. You never know. Sometimes you feel good. I feel like everybody says every time you expect a slugfest, it never goes that way. No, that's not true. Otherwise, we'd never expect a slugfest. However, there are times where it doesn't. I think this will not be one of those times. Of course I don't. Why would I going into it? I think we're going to see this game be very high scoring. I do like the Chargers to cover. I think it's a field goal game, and the Chiefs are favored by 4. I think it's a field goal game either way. I mean, if I had to pick, I'll take the Chiefs at home. But I think the Chargers keep it close. I would take them with the points. And I feel like this is going to be, a 38-35 game, something crazy. I think both teams will score in the 30s, well over. Even if the final score is 30-27, it goes over. Now, it doesn't mean that's definitely going to happen. But I see this game as a definite over. All right, take a break. Final thoughts coming up. About Donovan Mitchell and some of his comments yesterday coming up right here in the bullpen. So we've talked about the Guardians. Things are great. They're playing well. They're likely headed to the playoffs. The Browns off to a great start. Their first season opening win in nearly 2 decades. Fantastic. And now the Cleveland Cavaliers, who for the first time without LeBron had a good season for the first time in like 30 years without LeBron, right? But they lost in the play-in round. And they're a good young team that obviously now should be even better, at least on paper, with the addition of Donovan Mitchell. And Donovan Mitchell yesterday was in Cleveland. Got off a plane. I didn't, but some of the guys from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show saw him getting off the plane because our studio is right by the Burke Airport. And Donovan Mitchell had some really awesome things to say. He said, including this, I'll read the quote. We could really build something special. And I'm just excited to play with this team, play for the city, play with these guys, and just get out here, compete, and win. I think this is a great situation. He's been working out with Darius Garland this summer. I know there's going to be some learning curve in terms of the two of them working together, but I have zero concern about ego or whose team is this getting in the way. Now, maybe I'll be wrong, but I'll be very surprised. I don't think the Cavs have those kind of players. I think they have unselfish, great team, great guys, and I think this is going to work beautifully. I cannot wait to watch this team play basketball. It's going to be so much fun, and wouldn't it be sweet if when the season starts, the Guardians are still in the postseason, and the Browns are playing well, and we're starting the Cavs season? What a fun October this could be. I'll tell you what. Now, obviously, we're not going to you don't want to get too crazy for basketball in October, but it would be fun if that's all still going on. And the fact that they have 4 excellent, unselfish, multi-talented, multi-skilled players that are all 26 and younger and all seem to be great guys and great teammates, this is beautiful. And Donovan Mitchell certainly had an easy time winning the press conference yesterday. It's an exciting time to be a Cleveland sports fan. It doesn't get much better than this right now. Obviously, you want to see some championships, and you got one with the Cavs 6 years ago. But you want to see more, right? You want one. One's not enough. You want to see one in every sport. Maybe 2. Let's get greedy. But I don't think certainly since I've been here, not the case. And for the most part, again, we've talked about this. We've never had a year where all 3 Cleveland teams went to the playoffs. Never in history. Only 3 times have all 3 Cleveland teams finished over 500 in the same year. And I think we are just at the beginning of a stretch where all 3 teams are going to be good for a while. The arrow is pointing way up on all 3 Cleveland teams. It's beautiful. That's it for today. A lot more tomorrow in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. See ya.